Hi everyone, especially for young adults. Today it is 18th Sunday in Orient time. Let me start today's Gospel, Luke chapter 12 verses 13 to 21. Let me start first of all reflecting our Gospel of today's in emphasizing, focusing the gospel. I want to say the key words of phrases of today's gospel. Thus will it be for all who store up treasure for themselves, but are not rich in what matters to God. I'm going to say these key words of today's gospel in Korean language because very important these verses. The end of today's gospels, Luke chapter 13 verses 21. 자신을 위해서는 재화를 모으면서 하느님 앞에서는 부유하지 못한 사람이 바로 이러하다. Okay, to the points of today's gospel. This is a classic cautionary tale with an irony that is sweeping. The rich man prioritized storing his goods, and when the time came to enjoy them, it was too late. This is reminiscent of Matthew's Gospel and the Gospel of Luke that we will hear next week continuously, in which Jesus tells us to store our goods in heaven. God is not angry with the rich man, of course, but instead calls him a fool. It is not God who misses out, but the rich man. So, let me start the homily points of today's gospel. Jesus specifically states his point in today's gospel before using a parable to illustrate it. Jesus says, "Take care to guard against all greed, for though one may be rich, one's life does not consist of possessions." Easier said than done, right? Greed creeps into our boardroom meeting as we challenge colleagues and assert our dominance. Greed appears in families where children might not be willing to share material objects or even one's attention. We can be greedy in ways that are not monetary. If we are to combat greed, it is important to step back and evaluate what we treasure and value. The answer for the rich man in today's gospel parable is obvious. He values a bountiful harvest and the ability and freedom to store up his riches for himself. But this control is fleeting, as his material goods will do nothing for him after his untimely death. Jesus invites us to look at this example and reflect on our own lives. What are we looking for? What will satisfy us? And ultimately, in what ways do we continue to grab and hoard and live with greed instead of practicing hospitality and generosity and self-gift? St. Augustine writes, "Our hearts are restless until they rest in you, O God. Nothing can satisfy us except for relationship with God. When we come to realize that God is our greatest desire, the one who we seek above all else, we begin to notice that material things are not as important. Likewise, when we recognize that relationship with God is our deepest longing, we come to know that part of this relationship is caring for others by sharing the gifts God have given us already. We do not exist as isolated individuals. So, today's gospel, what does it mean? What does give us meaning of a life hour in the time? Life in God fundamentally means life in community. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, God bless you. Have a nice Sunday.